This may look like lumber, but it's really a bench. Hey y'all, I'm James Wright and welcome to my shop. Today we're working on my new bench. Yes, I have a bench, but I'm building a new one. And if you want to see the videos thus far on it, I will leave a link to those up here in the cards and down in the description, and you can follow along with this whole process. In the last video, we built the actual top, and now I want to start working on the structure, the legs underneath. So let's jump in and get into making these legs and stretchers. So continuing on with white oak, I need to cut the boards to length. This is going to sound a lot like it did for cutting the boards for the top. I'm cutting all of the stretchers and all of the legs. There are 12 pieces for the legs and then 6 stretchers. So yeah, cut them all to length and then rip them down. But before ripping them down, I need a nice flat jointed edge that I can then mark off of, and I can then use my marking gauge or panel gauge to make a line parallel with this jointed edge. So I spend my time actually making sure this is really nice and flat so that when I make that line, I know that I'm cutting a true line that is parallel with the edge that I jointed. And so it's a lot of this, cutting and cutting and cutting. Not quite as much as the top, but almost. Not 24 cuts this time, just, 18 of them. So all of these boards need to be flattened, and particularly on the legs, they need to be really flat because they are going to be actually laminated together to make the legs. So I'm slowly going through with winding sticks and making sure that everything is nice and smooth and ready for glue up. And then occasionally I'll actually put together the sistering panels and make sure that they're actually flat, and then go back through and remove what I need to get them to fit together. Once they are ready, I need to glue up the legs. Each of these legs are made of 3 boards to bring them to about 3 inches thick total. So I'll glue them together and then put them all in one big stack and clamp them together. And it just takes a little bit of time and being careful, and then clamp them all together. Yeah, I don't know if I have enough clamps. Maybe I should put a couple more on there, but yeah, I love those clamps. After pulling them out of clamps, it's time to smooth them all out, get rid of any of the glue, and bring them to their final thickness of 3 inches by 5 inches. So I'm going to be going through all the surfaces and planing them down, spending a special amount of time on the edge grains where all 3 boards come together. And some of these, they're a little tricky because one grain might be running one way and one grain might be running the other way, so it's kind of good to be ambidextrous and be able to go both directions on it. Then I'm going to come through and break all the edges and get them all ready for all of the joinery I have to do. A little block plane does very quick work of breaking the edges and putting a slight chamfer on it. The long stretcher that goes from end to end between the legs, there are 2 of these, one on the bottom of each leg pair, and I'm going to be making a tenon that goes into the legs. Now this tenon isn't going to have cheeks on the front and back, just on the sides. So this way it'll be a full 7/8 thick going into the legs, and making it a little bit more stiff and rigid as it connects to the legs. These will also be drawboard into place. I'll be doing more of that in the next video when I actually cover the joinery. But after cutting the tenon on one end, then I can cut it to its final length, plus the other tenon, and then I can cut that tenon. Now on these boards, I love the figure and the knots and the twisted grain, but that means that there's a few obstructions and things like that I need to fill before we actually get into the joinery. As you can see, the crack on this one. So I'm going to be filling all those with epoxy. This is a West System epoxy and a trans tint dye. I'll try and leave links to those below. I've had a lot of people asking me about that. But this is a silicone bowl for kids' food. It is great for mixing epoxy, because when I'm done I can just bend it and break the epoxy off, and it's ready to go again. So yeah, that's what I have so far. Now, I didn't get quite as far as I wanted to. I was hoping to have the large stretchers into the legs, but we're gonna have to wait on those till next time. So I'm really looking forward to actually jumping into the joinery and putting these all together. That is going to be a blast, and actually working through how do you actually go about joining the legs together and how do you match everything up and get it all in the right place so when you get that final fit, everything slides in. Especially with this kind of being mixed with the Roubo and Nicholson style, having a a little bit of both. It's going to be kind of fun to work those together. So I'm looking forward to that video in the future. Otherwise, if you're seeing this in the future, then that may already be out and you can check it out in the playlist. But that's about it for today. I hope you've enjoyed this one. This has been a fun video for me. If you did like it, please hit like and go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Also, if you want to see some of the behind the scenes things, I put those on my second channel over here. I want to say an incredible thank you to the patrons on Patreon. You guys are really the reason why this channel is going today. If you'd like to find out more about that, you can do so right over here. And until next time, have a wonderful day.